Trump's persistent prodding ultimately backfired when Judge Juan Mershon grew tired of his antics as Trump's criminal trial loomed. Confidently, he assured everyone of his intention to testify, reiterating this pledge several times and asserting he would speak truthfully. However, when the moment arrived, he backed down, leaving observers puzzled. Critics had anticipated Trump's appearance on the stand, believing it would worsen his predicament. Some even launched advertisements to pressure him into testifying, to no avail. Despite his earlier bravado, Trump opted against taking the stand. Instead, his legal team concluded their case without his testimony, concentrating on discrediting key prosecution witnesses in hopes of swaying the outcome. Trump had a lot to say on the matter.
Because he made rulings that makes it very difficult to testify. Anything I did in the past, they can bring everything up. Then you know what? I've had a great past.
Because he made rulings that makes it very difficult to testify. Anything I did in the past, they can bring everything up. Then you know what? I've had a great past. The defense has requested former federal prosecutor Robert Costello to discredit the testimony of former Trump lawyer turned adversary Michael Cohen. Costello stated that Cohen informed him Trump was unaware of the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels, the central figure in the case. Costello aimed to depict Cohen as an unreliable liar, but Cohen maintained his stance, affirming multiple discussions with Trump in October 2016 regarding the payment.
Time ally of the former president, and in just a short time he'll be cross-examined where we could learn even more details about his relationship with Cohen. That's as he testified just yesterday that Cohen told him numerous times that Donald Trump didn't know anything.
Legal analyst Lisa Rubin couldn't resist mocking Trump's timidity. "You're not cheating on your longtime girlfriend," she quipped. The Sandoval hearing convened to aid defendants in deciding whether to testify following the judge's rulings on permissible cross-examination boundaries. But it appeared Trump wasn't prepared to confront the consequences.
To take down a post about the law clerk, but also that he continued to willfully and intentionally violate a court order by making public attacks on the law clerk, despite.
Defendants in criminal cases aren't obligated to testify, and juries cannot deliver a verdict based on their absence. Had Trump chosen to testify, he might have faced tough questioning from prosecutors, particularly concerning his purported involvement with Stormy Daniels and other contentious matters. There was a risk of him becoming agitated or losing his composure, which could have exacerbated his situation. The trial unfolded with considerable drama. Prosecutors accused Trump of attempting to sway the 2016 presidential election by concealing adverse information, allegedly falsifying business records to hide payments to Cohen, mislabeling them as legal expenses when they were actually hush money to Daniels. Trump vehemently denied any wrongdoing and pleaded not guilty. Throughout the controversy, he leveraged the issue to galvanize supporters, using it as a platform to criticize President Joe Biden and advance his political campaign. He dismissed the controversy as a politically motivated fabrication. Despite his confident assertions outside the courtroom, Trump opted against the risk of testifying, aware of its potential detrimental impact on his case. Jurors were presented with testimony regarding the murky practices of the tabloid industry, including revelations about how Trump's associates at the National Enquirer paid to suppress damaging stories. They listened to Stormy Daniels recount an alleged sexual encounter with Trump, an accusation he vehemently refuted. Cohen provided testimony about his involvement in the scheme, stating he paid Daniels for silence before the election, and asserted that Trump covered legal fees through fictitious invoices. Following 4 weeks of testimony, the jury was dismissed for a week. Closing arguments were anticipated after Memorial Day, marking the jurors' initial opportunity for deliberation. Judge Mershon was tasked with guiding the jury on applying the law to evidence and testimony, ensuring their comprehension of pertinent legal principles. Donald Trump Jr. defended his father's choice not to testify, labeling the trial as a farce. Despite the judge's remark that prosecutors hadn't sufficiently proven their case, he still had to adjudicate a defense motion to dismiss the charges. Such requests are uncommon, but Trump's legal team remained hopeful for a favorable outcome. Lisa Rubin remarked that Trump's history could have been more pristine. The Manhattan DA's office underscored numerous legal rulings against Trump that could be scrutinized if he testified, including a civil fraud conviction and breaches of gag orders. These complications heightened the risk for Trump.
Anything and everything in his past, as he said, but it's also not the case that that past is uniformly a good one, as illustrated by some of these judicial findings that the DA's office.
As the trial neared its conclusion, the stakes were significant, with Trump confronting 34 charges of falsifying employment records, each carrying potential prison sentences. New York pursued the lesser criminal charges, yet a conviction could still lead to incarceration. Trump and his legal team concentrated on instilling reasonable doubt, scrutinizing the credibility of prosecution evidence, and contending that the payments to Cohen were justifiable legal fees. The jury's verdict will carry significant weight, shaping not only Trump's legal destiny, but also his political prospects moving forward. The U.S. witnesses its first president to undergo a criminal trial. The case's result could profoundly influence his presidential campaign and public perception, particularly in the Florida lawsuit regarding Trump's classified documents. Recent courtroom proceedings intensified significantly. Trump's co-defendant, Walton Gouda, attempted to have his charges dismissed, but encountered unexpected obstacles. Meanwhile, a close aide to Trump entered a plea of not guilty to charges of obstruction, bringing this chapter of the story to a close. In August of last year, he faced accusations of lying to the FBI and trying to erase surveillance footage at Mar-a-Lago. His legal team contended that he was the victim of unfair targeting, citing alleged selective prosecution compared to others who also handled boxes at Mar-a-Lago.
The implication, according to Walton Gouda's lawyer Stan Woodward, was that they were basically saying to him, if you don't turn over your client to cooperate.
Prosecutor David Harbach vehemently disagreed. He grew increasingly frustrated with the defense attorney Stanley Woodward dismissing his arguments as baseless. Harbach stressed that no one else engaged in the same actions as the defendant, including lying and attempting to destroy evidence. He asserted that the only individuals comparable to Nevada were his co-defendants. Lisa Rubin clarified that Woodward's primary defense centered on the notion that Nevada was being prosecuted vindictively because he declined to testify against Trump. Woodward alleged improper pressure from a prosecutor regarding his judicial appointment, insinuating it was a tactic to coerce cooperation. Harbach dismissed these assertions as pure fantasy, adamantly stating that they never occurred. Rubin highlighted the absurdity of the defense's argument, suggesting that not cooperating was somehow being used against Nader and impeding his lawyer's judicial aspirations. Judge Aileen Cannon found herself grappling with the task of maintaining order in the courtroom. At one point, she even had to intervene and ask Harbach to temper his emotions as he became visibly agitated. The judge appeared skeptical of Woodward's arguments as well, repeatedly requesting evidence to substantiate his claims of selective prosecution. Rubin observed that the judge's insistence on evidence underscored the weakness in the defense's position.
Basically retaliate against my client because I didn't want him to cooperate, and retaliate against me by saying that my application for a judgeship wouldn't be processed. Judge Aileen Cannon, when the Department of Justice's lawyer got up yesterday to argue this and was impassioned about.
Woodward also alleged improper pressure from a prosecutor regarding his judicial appointment, implying it was a ploy to coerce cooperation from Nkudu. Harbach swiftly dismissed these allegations as unfounded, asserting they never occurred. When U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon reiterated specific quotes that Woodward alleged the prosecutors had made during the August 2022 meeting and probed the prosecution on the necessity and professionalism of those remarks, Harbach, after conferring with his colleagues, did not contest the statements, but argued they were fragmented and taken out of context. Lisa Rubin elucidated that this tactic was often employed to divert attention from the primary issue, which revolved around Nader's actions in a subsequent hearing. Woodward contended that the indictment against Nader should be dismissed on the grounds of unclear charges. He argued that the indictment was convoluted and that they grappled with comprehending the specific crimes Nadel was accused of committing. Judge Cannon acknowledged that the initial 91 paragraphs of the indictment contained numerous alleged facts, but conceded that certain charges might pose challenges for a jury to distinguish between. Rubin humorously pointed out how Trump and his team always seem to complicate matters unnecessarily by not keeping things simple. Woodward even raised concerns about the varied references to Trump's living quarters at Mar-a-Lago in the indictment, deeming it confusing. Judge Cannon refrained from making an immediate decision, stating she would carefully consider the motion. What are your thoughts on this legal twist? Share them in the comments below. If you found this video informative, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon to stay updated on developments in Trump's legal cases. Until next time.